Hello everyone, my name is Kodamore and welcome back to the LibGDX Game Dev Guide. Today we're actually going to use our texture atlas that we generated in the last episode. Remember, we're generating this every time we run our game. That way, anytime we change an image, our texture atlas will be regenerated automatically for us. So how can we use that texture atlas? Well, let's go into the main game class in our core project, and let's change around the example code that LibGDX gave us. So from now on, you never want to draw anything directly from your raw textures folder. Instead, you only want to draw stuff from your texture atlas. That way we can stay really efficient. So first things first, instead of loading in a texture, we're going to load in a texture atlas, which I'll simply call atlas in this class. So in the create method, which runs at the start of our game, we're going to set atlas equal to a new texture atlas, and we're going to have to pass it the file name where our texture atlas is located. Now, the code in our desktop launcher generates our texture atlas directly in the assets folder. I named mine textures, so I get this textures.atlas file. This is the file that we need to pass into that method. So textures.atlas is my texture atlas path. That will load in the texture atlas for us. Now before we forget, we have to go down into the dispose method, and we have to dispose of our texture atlas, atlas.dispose. That'll clean it up at the end of our game. Next, in the render function, I'm just going to space some things out. Instead of drawing that old image texture we had, we have to draw something from our texture atlas. And that is done by drawing a texture region. Every single individual image that is in our texture atlas here is a texture region. So if this little part of the player here was my attack_3 animation, this is the region, the texture region, named player/attack_1 or whatever. So if I want to draw, let's say, my decorated grass tile, we have to find out what folder and name it was under. So if we go to your assets folder, in the raw textures folder, I had an image in my tile folder called grass_decorated. So to access this image in the texture atlas, we have to access the region named tile, the folder that it was in, /grass_decorated. If we go into our code here, in the batch.draw, the first parameter, the image that we want to draw, the texture, we're going to do atlas, our texture atlas, .find region. And this is going to take in the region name as a parameter. And this will return a texture region to us. So my texture region I want was the file that was in my tile folder called grass_decorated. So we'll simply pass in tile/grass_decorated. And this will now draw that little part of our big texture atlas image as if it was a single image right down there. Now, without changing anything, still loading that one texture atlas, I can actually draw my wall tile. Well, my wall tile is in the tile folder, and it's called wall.png. So that means it was packed under the name of tile/wall. And if we try running this now, you'll notice that my wall tile gets drawn. All right, cool. We can do the same thing for other images that we packed in our raw textures folder. For instance, I can do my item folder / and then tree to draw my tree. This is all great until we go and try to render or draw one of our player images. So my player folder /attack_1 should work just fine, right? Well, let's try. We'll find the region. It was in my player folder, and it was called attack_1. And if we try running our game, we're going to get an exception. In fact, we get a null pointer exception in our sprite batch, and that originated from our main game class, line 26, this line right here. Basically, this find region function, this method call, returned null. It could not find a texture region with this name. But why not? Our texture packer code in the desktop launcher, it packed everything in our raw textures folder, so I definitely have a region named player/attack_1. The thing with the texture packer is it takes any images that end with a number and it converts them into an array of texture regions, or atlas regions to be specific. So as you can see, in my player folder, I have 3 images that are all named the exact same thing, attack, attack, attack. It's just they end in different numbers. So whenever we load that texture atlas into LibGDX, it's actually keeping these 3 images under the same name, player/attack. and they're put into an array, so then you can index them from 0, 1, and 2, just like a normal Java array essentially. So if I did want to draw my attack_1 image, my first image here of attacking with the lowest number at the end, I have to do something a little bit different in my code. So instead of finding a region, we actually have to call the findRegions method with an S on the end. And then instead of passing in the number we want at the end of the file path, we simply specify the base name that the file was. So this will return, if we hover over it, an array of atlas regions, and they'll contain all the images that were in my player/attack. So I can simply call .get at index 0 to get that image and draw it to the screen. And you'll see that my first attack animation image is down there. I can get the second frame by doing get at index 1. And if we run the game, we'll get my second frame that looks slightly different. It's hard to tell because it's so small. But that's how you would get any texture region that ended with a file name number when you were packing your texture atlas together. So I hope that this was a quick crash course on how to use texture atlases, how to find a region and find an array of regions for anything that ended with a number. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.